Hello and welcome to another exciting demonstration video. Today we'll be covering the Windows environment of Microsoft Excel 2010. We're just going to basically go over the layout, what things are called, some of the differences between this and what you would normally see in, say, Microsoft Word, which was our first project. So let's dive right in here. And we're going to start from the top here. Up at the top, this is going to look very familiar to you, as this is the quick access toolbar. Has your mostly used commands on there: save, print, print preview. As with Microsoft Word, if you click the drop down arrow to the right of that, you can add pretty much anything you want to this toolbar, anything that you will, as I said before, use frequently. So new, open, save, quick print. Some of you need the spell check, so spelling should be up there. But again, that is up to you what you have up there. It is a personal preference. So that is your quick access toolbar. If you move to the right, you're going to have your file name. Book 1 is the default name that Microsoft Excel gives to all files until you go ahead and save it for the first time. Then, of course, over all the way to the right, you have your minimize, your restore, and close, which is nothing different than from Microsoft Word. Moving down, you do now have your ribbons. Again, like Microsoft Word, the ribbons have tabs on top. You have File, Home, Insert, Page Layout, Formulas, Data, Review, and View. The Home tab, which is the most frequently used, has pretty much the same groupings that you saw, I should say, in Microsoft Word, with the exception of a few. Clipboard is the same. You have your font grouping, which is pretty much the same. Your alignment grouping is expanded. You did have alignment, but that was only had basically horizontal alignment. Now you have vertical alignment, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the first and second projects here. Then you have a grouping called number. This is for formatting numbers in your worksheet. Again, we'll get into that probably here in the first project. Then you have styles. Styles is very similar to the styles in Microsoft Word in that basically you can format your text and numbers to a certain style. You also then have a grouping called cells and a grouping called editing. We will be getting to some of these in the two projects we're doing in Excel. Some of them we're not going to. So if you would like to know more about some of these options, you need to take the spreadsheet and database class offered here at wonderful Wilmington High School. That's your home ribbon. Insert, I'm just going to quickly go over because we do cover that here in the first chapter. You have a grouping called tables, a little bit different. We're really not going to go over that too much, unfortunately. Illustrations is much like inserting pictures, clip art, that kind of thing, and shapes. Then you have a grouping called charts, which we will be using this first project. Okay, charts, you guys are all familiar with charts, pie charts, column charts, that kind of stuff. You have a grouping called spark lines, filter, links, and then stuff you're kind of familiar with when the text grouping, header, footer, that kind of stuff. Okay, that's where you would go add your header, footer if needed. Okay, and we can get into that here in the next video, but not right now. Then you have a page layout tab, formulas, date, review, and view. We're not going to really get into those right now because I don't know if we're going to discuss them in the first two chapters. Remember, this is only going to be a quick overview of Microsoft Excel. If you want to get more into Excel, you need to, again, take the spreadsheet database class offered here at the school. Okay, below the ribbons, we have two white boxes, rectangles, if you want to call them that. First one on the left says A1 is called your name box. This is kind of like the address box of Microsoft Excel. It tells you exactly where you're at. So in other words, right now, I am in cell is the little boxes down here. I'm in cell A1. A cell is the intersection of a row and column. So you would say the letter first and then the number. The letter referring to the column and the number referring to the row. So we have cell A1. As I move around, you will see that changes. You can also use this name box to go to a certain cell. So in other words, I can click in there, type in, I don't know, let's say C10. I hit enter and it automatically goes to cell C10. So that is kind of like your address box. Okay, that's another word for it. I've called it that several times, but Microsoft calls it the name box. You can also name different cells. Again, that's a little bit more advanced, but for now you can consider that kind of like your address box. Then you go to the right and you have a big long rectangle, white rectangle. That is called your formula bar. This is where you can insert information, insert formulas, whatever, to actually go into your cells. So in other words, if I were to click into the formula box, you'll get an insertion point, and I can actually type in, let's say, Wilmington. I hit enter, and you will see Wilmington in cell C10. Okay, so that is one way of entering information into your spreadsheet. To the left of that, I kind of skipped over it because I wanted to hit the boxes first. You'll see a little button that says FX. That FX is what's called the insert function button. Functions in Microsoft Excel are also known as formulas. So formulas would be anything from summing up numbers, subtracting numbers, all that kind of stuff is included in functions. And we'll get into that in a little while. But for right now, that is one way of inserting functions or formulas. Okay, moving down, we have these letters going across the top. These are what are called your column headers. So it goes A, B, C, D, E, all the way once through the alphabet, so A through Z. Then it goes A, B, A, C, and it goes all the way through that, doubling all your letters. Then it triples your letters. So it goes A, B, 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 C, 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 and so forth. All right, so there's quite a few of these little boxes or cells in one worksheet. On the left-hand side, you have numbers. These are what are called your row headers. So on the top, you have, again, your letters, which are column headers. And then on the left-hand side, you have numbers, which are your row headers. Okay, and again, to specify one of these boxes or cells, you would say the column first, and then your row. So C4, A1, what have you. Okay, you will see all these light gray lines on your worksheet. These light gray lines are called grid lines. Okay, they create basically the worksheet for you. And every time, as I said before, there is an intersection of a row and column, it's called a cell. Okay, these are all cells. I'm clicking on a box. Each box is called a cell. You will see that black bold line that goes around a cell when I click on it. That's just indicating that that is the active cell or where information will be entered into. Okay, so basically I can click all over the place, and wherever I click becomes the active cell. That's one way of navigating around a spreadsheet. I'll get more into that probably in the next video. So that is your column and rows and your grid lines and cells. Then down below you have little tabs down here. It says sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3. These are different sheets you can put information into. When you open up Excel for the first time, it is called a workbook. A workbook is comprised of worksheets. So the default in each workbook is 3 worksheets. So you have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I can click on 1, I can click on 2, I can click on 3. I can add sheets if necessary, depending on what you're using your spreadsheet for. You might have several more worksheets. You might only need 1 or 2. It depends on your application and what you're using your spreadsheets for and what you need, basically. All right. So those are your sheets. Then to the right, you have your scroll bar. Everybody knows about the scroll bar. Okay. Then you down below that, you have a taskbar. Okay, down here. You also have what's called an auto calculate area, and I want to point this out because they will be talking about it in the first project. The auto calculate area is this gray area down here. If you right click on it, you will see a bunch of options. And down here is where you can get auto calculate. So you can average count, numeric count, minimum, maximum, sum. All that stuff is in your auto calculate area. I want to point out that this is where that information pops up. I will show you a little bit more in the next video. Then on the right hand side, further on the right hand side, you have your views, and then you have your zoom slider, which everybody should be pretty much used to from Microsoft Word. All right, and that is Microsoft Excel in a nutshell. Hopefully you will continue watching the next video and learn a little bit more about Microsoft Excel 2010.